This is more or less just to keep the mud off my pants, because they're the only pair I brought this weekend. I'm Kevin Wain. I am a potter by trade. I've been doing pottery for about 35 years.
What inspired you to learn the craft?
Oh, just the attraction to working three-dimensionally with clay and playing with fire. Love fire. I went to an art school in Toronto and discovered, as I say, three-dimensional work with the clay, both in sculpture and in pottery. I sit down at the potter's wheel with some clay, and I will turn that into various shapes, mostly functional ware, bowls, mugs, butter dishes, garlic keepers, things of that nature. I do some sculptural work, some vases that are more higher-end sculptural pieces, more artistic in their expression. Okay, so the ancient and traditional art form of throwing pots on the wheel. I already have some clay that I've wedged and worked up and warmed up a bit, and now I continue the process. This is called coning. It just helps warm the clay up so it's more responsive to the throw, and does a variety of other things that help the finished product maintain its round shape, and I won't get too technical with that. But just to do a simple little pot, I'm actually throwing a technique called throwing off the hump, which is a production technique. All this clay, I start with about 10 pounds, and I'll just keep working the little bit of clay on top for whatever type of piece I'm making. And I'll throw piece after piece after piece until all of the stock clay is used up. So basically squeezing the clay in between my fingers, compressing it, and bringing it up, shaping the wall. So it's a nice round shape. Close in the top. This is going to be a tiny little creamer. We'll smooth out the top rim. I'm not going to worry about it being totally straight, being a jug. I can use the high point to make the spout. That smooths it out very nicely. And then I'll bring that high spot around and form the little bit of a spout and put a throat on it, and then a little stick to just slice it off, and there we have simple little pot.
That's really cool.
If I'm throwing something like a plate, this is a technique where you compress the rim so it holds its shape, and that creates a tension in the rim. So when the clay gets soft in the kiln, it won't collapse. It'll want to pull itself back up. And again, slice it off. Now, the throwing actually is the fastest and most mesmerizing point of making pottery. From here, they have to dry up a little bit. I'll flip them over, let them dry evenly, and then they come back onto the wheel where I trim them, clean them up. And so that the bottom looks a little something like that by the time it's all trimmed, and the foot rim, and then I put a signature on it. And at that point I'll also put the handles onto it, or a label. If it's something like a honey pot or something, I'll put a label that says honey. And then I begin the firing processes, where it goes, as I say, into the kiln once, bisque fired, comes out, I apply the glazes, goes back into the kiln, and I finish my stoneware at 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. And once again, makes a beautiful finished product, very hard, very durable. So I'm Kevin Wain. I've been a potter for 35 years. I'm located just north of the town of Durham. You can find my ware at the Owen Sound Artists Co-op, which has been a mainstay in the area for a number of artists. We have about 35, 40 artists in that store, actually. And we also go around to a number of craft shows, like here at Wild for the Arts at McGregor Point Provincial Park.